Jonathan, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so I will call this meeting Committee of Adjustment for February 10th, 2026, 7 p.m. Now, because we have an audience, please, if at any one time that you have a question, please raise your hand. And you have to give us your name and address so it can be added to the minutes of our meeting, okay? Do we have any declaration of pecuniary interests? No? Okay, we'll go to the adoption of the agenda, please.
Thank you. It is moved by Roxanne Louis and seconded by Kathleen Rochon. Be it resolved that the agenda for the West Nipissing Committee of Adjustment meeting held on February 10th, 2026 is adopted as presented.
Everybody's got one? All in favor? Carried. The adoption of the minutes, please.
It is moved by Kathleen Rochon and seconded by Roxanne Louis. Be it resolved that the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment meeting held on December 9th, 2025 be adopted as presented.
Everybody had a chance to read the minutes. Everything's okay, so everybody in favor? Carried. You didn't see comments, we don't have any.
We have a few that are provided in your package. Anything worth noting, I will, when we get to that application.
We get that. All right. So we'll go to the application. Consent application 1, CO2/26, Ferme Long-Vallon.
Thank you.
Sorry, just a note on the agenda, you have 2 26s, so we're actually talking about 25. On the actual page, it says 25. On the agenda, it just says
Oh.
26.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, no, 2.
I see what you mean on this,
25,
on the
it's
summary sheet.
26.
Yes, thank you.
That's sorry.
No problem.
Good eye.
Apologies for that.
No, I looked at the number and then.
No worries. Thank you. It is moved by Kathleen Rochon and seconded by Roxanne Louis. Be it resolved that the consent application for the creation of new lots at 536 Canal Road, Municipality of West Nipissing is approved on the following conditions. That a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the Land Registry Office and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality. Confirmation that all property taxes are paid to date. That all conditions be met on or before February 11th, 2028, being 2 years from the date of giving notice. That a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent. In the event that any portion of a municipally maintained and traveled road is located on either the severed or retained lands, that 10 meters from the center line of the maintained and traveled roadway, including the retained lands, shall be surveyed at the owner's cost and transferred to the municipality, and that the municipal clerk shall, pursuant to section 65 sub 1 of the Drainage Act, instruct the municipal engineer to apportion the assessment for the drainage maintenance among the parts into which the lands are being divided. The cost of the apportionments shall be borne by the applicant. So through you, Mr. Chair, I'm just going to share my screen here for us. This is an application to create 2 lots. The address is on Canal Road because the property fronts on Canal, but it also fronts onto Marlow. So these 2 lots would front onto Marlow. The one lot is proposed to be 3.5 hectares, and the other lot is proposed to be 6 hectares. There's about 55 hectares for the retained here. I will note that this property, the portion that they're proposing to sever is hazard lands and has the class 4 CLI, so it does not qualify as that prime agricultural under the PPS. And I will leave it at that for any questions.
Thank you. That was one of my first questions, if it was deemed prime ag or not, so, and it's not, right? All right. Go ahead, Madam Kathleen.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, if the property lines at the north, they run across a waterway, is that a municipal drain or is that a natural
Is the municipal drain.
Okay. And so it's proposed that basically the property line will run in the middle of the drain, or will the drain be contained on one property or the other?
I believe the intent is that that drain will be kind of the dividing line.
Any questions from Jonathan? Nope. Okay.
Nope.
Any questions from the audience? Nope. Hearing none, I'll bring it to a vote. Anybody in favor? Carried. Jonathan's got a 5-second delay. He says yes, and then the hand goes up. Okay, so we'll move on to number 2, CO3/26. Joke and Edith Carina.
Thank you. It is moved by Roxanne Louis and seconded by Kathleen Rashaw. Be it resolved that the consent application for the creation of 2 new lots at 7464 Highway 64, Municipality of West Nipissing is approved on the following conditions. That a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the registry office and a copy of a new survey be filed with the municipality. Confirmation that all property taxes are paid to date. That all conditions be met on or before February 11th, 2028, being 2 years from the date of giving notice. That a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent. And in the event that any portion of a municipally maintained and traveled road is located on either the severed or retained lands, the 10 meters from the center line of the maintained and traveled roadways, including the retained lands, shall be surveyed at the owner's cost and transferred to the municipality. Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm just going to get my screen back up here. The proposal here is for the creation of 2 lots, which are shown in red on the screen. The retained would be the green. The lot to the south is proposed to be 1 hectare, and the larger lot at the north is 9 hectares. They're retaining about almost 19 hectares. So they do meet the minimum lot size and frontage. And I will note that I'm sure you can see that there are a couple smaller lots created there. Those were created in, I believe, the 40s, 50s. So those are not recent severances.
Thanks, you. It's okay. Thank you. Any questions from our panel?
What are the dimensions of the lots being proposed? So, like, do they all meet the minimum frontages and all that kind of stuff?
They do, yes. One has the proposed 60 meters and the other
Okay.
one is proposing 62 meters. So they're okay there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any more questions? Any questions from the audience? No? Hearing none, I'll bring it to a vote. Anybody in favor? Carried. Move on to number 3. CO4/26 1377418 Canada Inc.
It is moved by Kathleen Rashaw and seconded by Roxanne Louis. Be it resolved that the consent application for the creation of a new lot at 74 Alex Street, Municipality of West Nipissing, is approved on the following conditions. That a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the land registry office and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality. Confirmation that all property taxes are paid to date. That all conditions be met on or before February 11th, 2028, being 2 years from the date of giving notice. That a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent. And in the event that any portion of a municipally maintained traveled road be located on either the severed or retains, that 10 meters from the center line of the maintained and traveled roadway, including the retained lands, shall be surveyed at the owner's cost and transferred to the municipality. Through you, Mr. Chair, this is an application within the new CASA subdivision. As I'm sure you're aware, most of the properties within that subdivision were built with 2 services at each lot for the purpose of being able to sever and provide services to each lot individually. So this is essentially proposing to split the lot in half. Each property will already have a service which is installed on the site, and they will only be allowed to do 1 unit per lot, whether that be a single detached or if they decided to do a semi-detached.
And these are zoned R2, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And the minimum frontage on, those are fully serviced lots?
Yes.
Those are
Water and
serviced, correct, yeah.
sewer? And the minimum frontage according to zoning bylaw?
Is the 15 meters, which they do.
All right. Any more questions? Okay, hearing none, I'll bring it to a vote. Anybody in favor? Carried. Okay. Number 5, C56/25, Darrow Vinyl Products.
It is moved by Roxanne Louis and seconded by Kathleen Rashaw. Be it resolved that a consent application for a lot addition at 808 Drive-In
Did I said the wrong
Oh,
one.
you said sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm
She's
sorry.
on the right one.
You're on the
Oh,
right
sorry,
one.
I was just
It's
going through the
CO
list.
No, it's, I marked the wrong one. CO7/26, Sean Fontaine.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
That is no problem. It is moved by Roxanne Louis and seconded by Kathleen Rochon. Be it resolved that a consent application for a lot addition at 808 Drive-In Road to 11793 Highway 17, Municipality of West Nipissing is approved on the following conditions. That a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the Land Registry Office and a copy of the new certificate with the municipality. Confirmation that all property taxes are paid to date, that all conditions be met on or before February 11th, 2028, being 2 years from the date of notice, that a transfer be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent, that the municipal clerk shall, pursuant to Section 65 Sub 1 of the Drainage Act, instruct the municipal engineer to apportion the assessment for drainage maintenance among the parts into which the lands are being divided. The cost of the apportionment which shall be borne by the applicant, and that a PIN consolidation be registered in the Land Registry Office in order to consolidate the lot addition lands with the lands to which they are being added. Agree, Mr. Chair. This is a fairly simple lot addition. There's not a very large piece of land that's being transferred here. So this property, the retained, fronts onto Drive-In Road and has this sliver that comes down to Highway 17. They are proposing to add it to the property to the west. This is kind of curing an existing encroachment. I'll just pull it up so you can kind of visually see here. So this largely vegetated property actually does extend down this way. So it really is just kind of recognizing the existing situation that's occurring on the site.
Perfect. Any questions from our panel? Straightforward anyways.
Sorry, it's going to the west. So it'll actually be a straight line now?
Correct.
That's correct, yeah.
Thank you
Thank you.
for doing straight lines.
That never would have been able to be opened up as an entrance off the highway anyway. MTO was.
No.
They would have required MTO and generally they won't provide that access if they have an alternative.
Already an entrance there actually that Oscar's using, but we'll see what the MTO says about that for future use.
Yeah. All right.
Right now, we're gonna clean it up with nice straight lines.
Thank you. Any more questions? Hearing none, I'll bring it to a vote. Anybody in favor? Carried. Okay, now we'll go to number 5. D56/25, Dado Vinyl Products.
It is moved by Kathleen Rochon and seconded by Roxanne Louis. Be it resolved that the consent application for the creation of 2 new lots on Canal Road, Municipality of West Nipissing, is approved on the following conditions. That a reference plan be prepared and deposited in the Land Registry Office and a copy of the new survey be filed with the municipality. Confirmation that all property taxes are paid to date. That all conditions be met on or before February 11th, 2028, being 2 years from the date of giving notice. The transfers shall be submitted to the Secretary Treasurer for the issuance of a certificate of consent. In the event that any portion of a municipally maintained and traveled road is located on either the severed or retained lands, that 10 meters from the center line of the maintained and traveled roadway, including the retained, shall be surveyed at the owner's cost and transferred to the municipality. That the owner shall obtain a topographic survey of the property in order to determine a suitable building envelope above the floodplain elevation and provide a lot grading plan indicating the elevation of the property will be raised to prior to construction. And that an on-site sewage system review be conducted by the North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority to confirm that each lot will be able to accommodate an individual on-site sewage system. Through you, Mr. Chair, this application was brought to the committee previously and was deferred to obtain some legal advice. There is a memo in your package on page 24 that kind of provides that background. So it was established by a municipal solicitor that sorry, let me just back up a bit here. So the lands that are proposed for this consent application have a right-of-way over a property to the south, seen on the screen here. So the green is the entirety of that property, and that right-of-way goes over that portion's kind of hatched in blue at the bottom. I don't know if it's a bit hard to see on the big screen. And the question at that time was if the lots being created would also benefit from this right-of-way. And it was identified by the lawyer that that right of way would carry forward onto these lots. But it was also noted that consideration of that right of way was outside of the scope of the committee's consideration, and that would be a private matter between the landowners. And I will leave it there.
Good evening, council. My name is Madison Eggert. I am a solicitor for Miss Brandy Lee Campbell. She is the servient tenant to that easement. Myself and the lawyer for the applicant applicant for the consent spoke earlier today. I advised him that I'd be attending today to ask that this matter be adjourned, sine die. Given that we are entering into negotiations to discuss the easement, and he consented to that. So we're just asking that this matter be adjourned.
I'm sorry, I have a question on that.
Yes.
So I would prefer to have heard that from the lawyer for the applicant.
Mhm.
Um,
I
you know,
understand.
I understand that like the application's in front of us, so to have a third party, and I know that your client has an interest. But I would, if that's the request being made, it would be preferable for it to be coming from the applicant or his legal representation.
I understand. I would say that there's less prejudice to adjourning than to pushing an application forwards erroneously. And I did advise him. He was aware that the matter was today, and he said that is fine. So I believe I have his permission to do so on his behalf.
I may.
Thank you.
Sorry,
We have the planning representative for the applicant here.
Hi, and my name is Paul Goodrich. For the benefit of those that don't know me, I am the agent for the owner of the land. We are looking to simply sever 2 lots. If there's an agreement with respect to the right of way, that is totally separate from what is before the committee this evening. We're simply severing 2 lots. If they come with the right of way, that's fine. If there is an agreement and, you know, the legal opinion that was sought by the municipal planner stated that no, that they would be together with a right of way over the right of way area. So they do come together with it. But if there's an agreement to lessen that or lessen the impact, that's a separate agreement to the severance of the land. We're simply here to sever 2 lots for our client, whether they have a right of way or they don't have a right of way. That's between the 2 lawyers to decide at some point in the future. And as Mr. Veldboom, the municipal solicitor, stated, it is beyond the purview of this committee. So from my client's standpoint, we've already had it deferred once. We would rather it be brought forward for the decision this evening.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Madam Kathleen.
Thank you. If we were to agree to the severance as proposed, is there anything in the wording that recognizes the right of way?
Through you, Mr. Chair, there's nothing in the wording of this agreement because that is a right of way that would carry forward. So that would be handled more at the registration and the transfer phase. So in taking the time to clear these conditions, there could potentially be that discussion regarding how they want to complete these transfers with or without that right of way.
Again, that's outside of our
That is correct.
duties here.
And there was documentation provided that all parties were aware of the future intention of the further severance of the lands. And in fact, the owner of the lands where the current owner contacted the family members to see if they could purchase one of the lots being created. So there is documentation to that effect as well. I was involved in the original severance of the right of way. You can see just simply from the width of the right of way on that servient parcel that it was certainly intended for more than just ingress and egress for access to the waterway. It was large enough to allow for parking, for sheds, for docking at the waterfront as well. And, once again, there was an agreement amongst the owners at the time to that effect. So, but once again, it's a moot point. All we're here tonight to do is to sever two pieces of property from one of the three large parcels that were created at the time. And if there's an agreement with respect to the rights of way between the lawyers, that can, as Ms. Samantha's Ms. Willock has said, that would be at the time of registration of the documents, certainly not at this level.
I'm the owner of 1125 Canal Road, which is the individual that has that easement access to these lots we're discussing. I would just like to raise a few points, given that we're having this conversation now. And one is around overburden. And if we think about overburden and where my concerns lie, is there is currently 3 parcels. One of those 3 is being considered to be divided. So if we are going to be carrying forward this access to these new parcels, where does that end? When this individual who owns this has 2 other large parcels. Each parcel is 15 acres each. So if we understand what this could look like in the future, that does not equate to the original agreements, if any, right? This is an overburden concern that I would have. Now, I would like to also point out that the individual who owns these lots that we're talking about is also a developer. So what is the intention for future? Are we talking quite a lot of parcels? Is there future intent to divide? Would there be Airbnb? Does that fall in line with the original agreement of the easement access? The other thing I'd like to mention is the owner of these 3 lots that we're talking about, one of which is the one that he's looking to subdivide, also has a waterfront property. So if we think about access to water, he also owns a property attached to the water. There is current ways for these people to get to the water if need be, in addition to 3 marinas on the same road. I'd like to make one other point about the original agreements and these confirmations of original agreements. I dispute what the lawyer just shared. This individual has confirmed with somebody who wasn't even the legal seller what the intent of the easement is. There's a written legal agreement of what the easement is, which is ingress, egress only. And that was not permitted by myself nor my father. So I just want to make it very clear that was not the original intent of this easement. The reason why there was actual thoughts around an easement is because the property in question was supposed to be sold to family. I have this in writing. I actually could email it to you folks so you can see it. This document shows that we are selling this property to family only. And if these family members buy this, let's create an easement access so they can get to the water. That did not hold true. This family member put that easement to sell to the public. So I would say that in terms of a discussion around an easement and authorization was not to permit what we're looking at today. And that's the situation. So overburden is a big concern of mine. If this individual now develops these properties, we're going to have a lot of people in and out on that easement. And I want to make it very clear, I live there. This is my personal residence. If the business now goes ahead and severs the lot we're talking about, where does that end? And how does that create a fair easement access for me as the owner? I'm very much concerned about an overburden. So again, I want to be very clear. I live there. He already has water access. And where does it end when we're talking 45 acres?
Thank you, ma'am. Any more questions from our panel? Nope. You want to, I understand points, but there'll be to us to make a decision. Go ahead.
If I may, through Mr. Chair, I just do want to reiterate that our municipal solicitor has provided the legal advice that the committee does not should not be considering the benefits of that easement and the future benefit of it. Anything regarding the the future development or use is a matter between private landowners.
Correct. Correct. So I'll bring it to a vote. Anybody in favor? Carrie? Thank you. Okay, so now we're moving to minor variances. Section 5.2, number 1. MV 2026/01, Gabrielle Enrique Saint Denis.
Thank you. It is moved by Roxanne Louis and seconded by Kathleen Rochon that it is the decision of the Committee of Adjustment to approve the variance application for 557 La Plage Road to increase accessory lot coverage from 5 to 8.3% and to allow four accessory structures, whereas the bylaw currently allows 3 for the following reasons. It meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. The variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the land, and in the opinion of the committee, the variance is minor in nature. Mr. Chair, just pulling up the site plan here so you can see it. As I stated, the variance request is to increase the accessory lot coverage. Our current bylaw permits 5%, and they are requesting to go up to 8.3%. And the reason for the 4 accessory structures is because they do have the steel container on the property that they are planning to retain, because I believe it is housing an electrical plant panel for that shelter building. So they do not wish to remove that at this time.
So what they're adding is that shelter building.
That is correct.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions from our panel?
So the, sorry.
Go ahead, Kathleen.
So the shelter building does not exist at this time.
I believe it may have. This may be an after the fact construction or request. I would have to confirm that. Paul, are you aware of that?
Yeah, can you clarify, please?
Well, yeah, unfortunately, Don's sunning himself on a beach in Mexico right now.
Good for him.
What's his file? Absolutely. Wearing a sombrero and way too many margaritas. I do believe that it was constructed already, but I can't say for sure. Don went through some of this with me yesterday morning, but I believe it has been constructed, but once again, I don't know for sure.
No, a shelter is considered part of the, is it a permanent, I guess it is,
It
right?
is, yes, yes. It would
Yeah, I'm
count
just
towards
trying
the
to think.
accessory structures.
You know those white dome? Okay, so it's considered permanent, so that's why you need to increase the minimum lot coverage.
That is correct.
All right.
And what's the lot area is 1 hectare?
Yes.
Is the question for you, Paul, with the back of the shelter, does it have the minimum side yard like I can't see on the map the.
Yeah, it's just way too tiny, but yeah, I believe all the other components of the bylaw have been adhered to.
Okay,
And in fact, the overall percentage, we're still well under the overall percentage for the lot because of the size of the lot. So it's a little more than what the allowable would be for accessory structures.
Okay.
But when we add it all together with the house, we're still almost not quite 4% under what the maximum requirement would be.
okay,
Sorry, and
go ahead.
what's the reason again why the steel container can't be removed?
I believe it houses the electrical panel that services that shelter. That would have to be a confirmation, but I did speak with the agent at the time of the submission and asked if that could be removed. And their client does wish to keep it there, which is why that additional variance has been provided.
If the two are joined, would it not constitute a single structure? And therefore we would need the additional,
It would need to be made as part of it, not just
right,
walls matching, right?
yeah, and I haven't seen it on the ground.
Go ahead, Kathleen.
Okay, and if the steel container wasn't there, it would still be over. Like the steel container wouldn't account for,
It would make a big difference.
Yes, if the steel container was not there, it would go down from the 8.3% to 8.2%.
Go
and
ahead.
speak again. So what bothers me a little bit about this application is that if they had applied for a building permit, and it does look to be that that shelter is above the size that would need a building permit, then they would have been told at the time, they would have been denied the building permit and would have had to come for the variance before building.
Yes,
So now we're in a situation with somebody who did not apply for the permit and go through the proper channels and do it the right way. And I feel like we're being a little backdoored.
And sorry, perhaps I might have misspoken, but I noticed in the record of all comments that the building department had no issues. So if it had been constructed without permit, I think that's, that's where it would have been, that issue would have been raised. So it's possible that it has not yet been constructed, but it's just proposed. Because Elaine's usually pretty careful with these as well. So it's possible that I just misspoke. If Don were here, he'd be able to provide us the rest of the details. But the fact that the building department has signed off on it would tell me that the building permit hasn't been issued yet because it hasn't been constructed yet.
So you can't confirm if it's there or not.
I cannot approve or deny,
Okay.
or confirm nor deny.
Okay.
It's the same. But like I say, if it was there and this came through, the building department would have raised that issue. This, that we're lacking a building permit for this structure. So I would have thought that's where this would have been picked up.
if I may,
Go
Mr.
ahead,
Chair.
go ahead.
I believe it's generally best practice to not factor in whether it's there or not into your decision, to just treat it on the merits of the application itself. What that variance is that's being requested. I know that can be a challenge.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Any more questions? Hearing none, I'll bring it to a vote. Anybody in favor of the increased size? Defeated. Okay. So we'll move to the number 2 of the minor variance, MV 2026/02, Benjamin Cox.
It is moved by Roxanne Louis and seconded by Kathleen Marchant. It is the decision of the Committee of Adjustment to approve the variance application made at 10544 Highway 64 to reduce the front yard setback from 6 meters to 4.7 meters for the following reasons. It meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. The variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the property, and in the opinion of the committee, the variance is minor in nature. Here, Mr. Chair, I'm just going to bring up this sketch here. So the property currently, it's just kind of on the highway within living. The house currently has an enclosed deck around it, and the applicants are proposing to replace that deck with a fully covered mud situation. I will note that it is on the highway, but MTO has no concerns with that reduced setback, and they have actually already issued a variance to the property owners for that 4.7 meter setback that they've requested.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from our panel? No? Any questions from our audience? No, I'll bring it to a vote. Anybody in favor? Carried. Number 3, MV 2026/03, Danielle Stacy.
It is moved by Roxanne Louis and seconded by Kathleen Marchand that it is the decision of the Committee of Adjustment to approve the variance application at 55 Lakewood Road to increase the accessory lot coverage from 5% to 8% for the following reasons. It meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan. Meets the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. The variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the property, and in the opinion of the committee, the variance is minor in nature. Through Mr. Chair, this is an application for the applicant is looking to construct a new shed. In order to do so, they do need to increase accessory lot coverage from the 5% to the 8%. The overall lot coverage requirements are being met, and as well as all setbacks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the proposed shed is what we see in front there with, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay. And it's 10 feet from the property line?
that is correct, yes. So this is a waterfront property, so the front yard is actually on
Okay.
Lake Biscay.
Okay,
And then the road access is through Lakewood Road, which is
okay. All right, any questions from our panel?
I'm sorry, it meets the lot coverage in general, it's just the accessory lot coverage.
that is correct, yes. It's under the 15% overall. It's just that kind of proportion is shifting more of it towards the accessory structures versus the cottage.
No more questions from our panel? No, hearing none, I'll bring it to a vote. Anybody in favor? Carried. We'll go to number 4, MV 2026/04, Municipality of West Nipissing.
It is moved by Roxanne Louis and seconded by Kathleen Marchand that it is the decision of the Committee of Adjustment to approve the variance application to reduce the minimum lot frontage from 60 meters to 49 meters and to reduce the minimum lot area from 1 hectare to 0.4 hectares for the following reasons. It meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. The variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the property, and in the opinion of the committee, the variance is minor in nature. Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm sure everyone's familiar with this property. This is the all property that's been discussed at council. So as I said, the variance is to reduce that frontage and then also to reduce lot area. It does meet that absolute minimum of the 0.4 hectares. And I will advise that the North Bay Conservation Authority has already reviewed it and has provided that they are satisfied that there's adequate room for a septic on each parcel.
Perfect.
I feel a little.
So my question
I was just
for
saying,
the
both of
municipality.
us, like I feel a little odd, because we're obviously representing the interests of the municipality. In this.
Is it
Yes, there's the question.
a conflict?
I hadn't really thought about it, and I don't know whether you guys have looked at that or not, and if it is a conflict, it's a problem in that we would need the fifth member here in order to decide that. And a question for you, and I'm willing to defer this if we need to figure that out.
So we have not, through you, Mr. Chair, we have not looked at a legal opinion on that. My initial thought would be that you as members of council don't have a pecuniary interest. You don't have any financial gain from that. That being said, the municipal conflict of interest law stipulates that if you wish that we can seek legal advice on that, but I don't see as your capacity here as a committee member that you have any gain from it.
I
I was gonna ask Mel, she's
Madam
got,
Charm is online, not in her official.
you have something to add, Mel?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I was just going to mention that remember that this committee is an arm's length committee of council. It's not council. So at this committee, you're making decisions that are not subject to council approval. I'll just offer that.
Thank you. My question was to the municipality is, will the, because I'm not sure, will the fire hall be dismantled or?
No, the fire hall that exists there is a single and a half or a single car garage. Like
Garage,
it
yeah.
is
Oh.
not, it is not some like, brick with a fire pole and
Okay.
or anything like that. So it literally was a garage that was located on this property and housed
Okay,
West Nipissing Fire Service pickup truck. But the structure, even the location of the structure was deemed adequate. It's only a suitable building and will. I prefer.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think
myself,
there's any
for
hurry,
transparency,
just
I
for
would prefer to get-
transparency. I would prefer that either Councillor St. Louis and I can make a joint inquiry with our integrity commissioner. Or we can seek the legal advice through the lawyer that we usually use for planning matters. But I would rather have the advice on paper before contributing to a discussion, just because we do have we have a responsibility to the municipality and our roles as members of council. And I just would want to be certain, and I don't think there's a hurry if this is deferred. So my ask would be that we defer this to the next meeting and allow Councillor St. Louis and I just to get a formal advice to make sure that we're not crossing any lines there.
Okay, so is that a formal motion?
That is, I would like to make that
Have a
motion.
second,
shut up.
and then a vote on that motion.
Everybody in favor to differ? None carried.
I never even thought of him.
Okay, so we'll move to the last one. Number 5, MV 2026/05. Rabah Giga.
It is moved by Kathleen Rochon and seconded by Roxanne Louis that it is the decision of the Committee of Adjustment to approve the variance application to increase the maximum floor area of an accessory dwelling unit from 75% to 100% for the following reasons. It meets the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. The variance is considered desirable for the appropriate development of the property, and in the opinion of the committee, the variance is minor in nature. So through Mr. Chair, we have in our current regulations that if you are going to put an additional dwelling unit in your house, the floor area of that unit can only be 75% the floor area of your main unit. So say you got a 1,000 square foot main unit, that accessory unit is restricted to only 750 square feet. In this case, the applicants are proposing to convert the entirety of the basement. So the main floor will be a self-contained unit, and then the basement will be an entire self-contained unit. So they're just going through the variance to go through that. So there would not be any visual impacts associated with this variance. And it is kind of supported by the PPS for putting those additional dwelling units into the agricultural area.
Great.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I was
Kathleen.
gonna say with the new PPS regulations with the agricultural designations, is there any ratio outlined within the PPS?
Through Mr. Chair, there is not. It just speaks to those allowing those additional dwelling units.
And does our zoning bylaw speak to specifically on agricultural lands as well, or it doesn't differentiate between accessory units?
It does not. It just speaks to any residential zone, the A1 and the rural, and they all have those same regulations currently. That is something that will be updated through a comprehensive zoning update, but it is not in effect yet.
Okay. Any more questions from our audience or our panel? Hearing none, I'll bring it to a vote. Anybody in favor? Carried. All right, we're all done.
All right, it is moved by Kathleen Rashawn and seconded by Roxanne Lee. Be it resolved that the West City Committee of Adjustment be adjourned to March 10th, 2026.
Everybody in favor? Carried